Hey everyone, I tried this earlier, but the sound didn't upload, so I have to go back over the whole thing again, and yeah, you know, frustrated. Okay, so we're going over placement of designs when it comes to placements of designs and motifs when it comes to textiles, right? Um, this is not exclusively alone for textiles. You could use it in the other expressive forms, ceramics, graphics, and whatnot. Um, so we're just going to go back over some of the placements for those who missed it. All right. So we're using a poster. A poster page because it's long enough and it represents um, a size of a fabric, and it's not as short as the previous templates that we've used. So here is it. Just wait for it to load. You could play with the size. I like to use around 25 so I could see a little better. Alright, so 25%. I'm just waiting for that rest of that to load. Alright, so the first placement that we're going to look at is the repeat. The repeat basically is a where the motif is evenly placed on the horizontal and the vertical planes, meaning it goes across evenly, even spaces between, and likewise going down vertically, it's placed even spaces between. Let's look for elements. So they have all these templates and elements that are provided for us, but for you, what you're going to do is create your own design and upload it. I'm sure you remember how to upload. Go to upload and upload media. So you take a picture, you put it onto your computer or your pad or phone, whichever one you're using, upload the image and just place it how you want. Alright, so let's look for a element. So they have a bunch of elements provided for us. I'm just going to use a simple one. So it's Halloween month, so I'm going to use this skull. Alright, I'm just going to adjust the size. So this is my motif. I have it highlighted, so I'm going to duplicate it a couple of times. So that's like 3 times, 4 times. Alright. Alright, you see those pink lines? They're telling me that the skeletons are evenly placed in terms of height, right? So, right. So I just have to eyeball the spaces in between those spaces, right? Cool. So what I'm going to do is highlight it, group them, and duplicate a couple of times. As I said, with the repeat, the simple repeat, the designs are repeated the same on the vertical and horizontal planes. So I want them to line up so they could be directly under each other. Alright? So basically that is it. Right? So it's straight down, straight across, straight down, straight across. Right? No kind of variations. Alright, so we're gonna look at the what we call half drop repeat, right? Half drop repeat is on every other line. The design is staggered, which means that if you have these two this line of designs, then the motif falls in between in the next line, right? So more or less like that. So it creates these zigzag lines, right? Let's duplicate. Oops. Alright, so what's happening is that the skulls, they're creating this zigzag line. I'll do an easy one so you can get a better sense of it. Alright, so let's use this jar. I'm gonna give it more space this time. Duplicate, duplicate. Alright, so I just give it a little bit more space and I'm going to duplicate it, group them, and duplicate. And now I could drop, stagger the motifs right in the second line, just below, in between the two other motifs. So it creates that zigzag type of line. Duplicate again. So we do the same thing. So why I'm doing this, just showing half of the bottle, is because in fabric design or in certain types of fabric design, especially when it comes to fashion, like if you have to do a beach wrap or a fabric for an outfit, we want to make the fabric look like if it's just came from the store and if it was cut from a huge bolt of the same type of fabric. So the design comes off the end of the fabric or paper in this sense. So it looks continuous. It looks like if it was cut and we expected the other piece would have the same designs, right? Oops, went back too far. Right, so you'll see just a little piece there. Cool, so this is a repeat. So we're gonna look at reflection. So reflection, what reflection is basically like if you look into a mirror, you're facing yourself. So that is what it is really. So the designs are facing each other. For instance, if I have this ram's head, I duplicate it, but it's still facing the left. So I want this one to face the right. So what I do is highlight it, go to flip, flip horizontally, and now it's facing each other. So basically that is what rotation, no, sorry, reflective or reflection placement is when the motifs are facing each other, right? So what I could do now is I highlight both of these, I group them, and then I duplicate. So I move them aside. Right? So there you see the reflective or reflection placement. Very easy. It's just imagine that your motifs are just facing each other or looking into a mirror and it creates a reflection. Alright, the next one we're looking at is rotation. Alright, rotation takes a little while to do. What it is you imagine a point on your paper and your motifs are converging around that point. When I say converging, it means it's almost like if everything wants to meet at that particular point, which forms something like a circle. So it'll be like a circle of designs. Alright, so I'm gonna look for a motif. A leaf should be an easy motif to use. Alright, let's use this basic leaf, right? What I'm gonna do, minimize it a little bit and just duplicate it a couple of times. So I just move those aside. Alright, so the tip of the leaf would act as an arrow for me to indicate that it's pointing at a point, right? So you just rotate your leaf, bring it into that point, rotate another one, bring it into that point, rotate another, and bring it into that point. Alright, so I think that is enough um, to, to represent a rotation design, right? Um, what I'm going to do now, like I always do, is highlight everything, group them, and minimize it. So you have your rotation design, right? You duplicate it a couple of times, and what am I doing here? I'm doing a half drop placement of the same rotation design, right? So that's my whole design. Cool. So really interesting one as well that you could play around with. Alright, so our next one is scatter design. This one is fun. Um, Basically what it is, it's just um, randomly placing your motifs in different ways on the fabric or paper, right? For this one, we're going to change the background of our paper. I want like a green. Remember how to change your colors? So I want like almost like a forest green. Alright, so we're going to use that one. Um, Let's find some bright leaves. Alright, so we have these leaves. Replace that. What's fun about this is that your motifs could be different sizes. Um, it doesn't have to be all the same size, and you could turn and twist it any way you want. I don't want those red ones. Oh, no, this one wasn't free. Alright, so we're just gonna use these three. I'm gonna group them and duplicate. Alright, so what we wanna avoid is like too much negative space. I'm gonna show you just now because these are just three. I'm sure that I'm gonna have a problem with negative space. Alright, for instance here, this big space, there's too much negative space, and I want to fill that up because it's going to look odd. So I have all this rhythm going on and movement, and I have that negative space to fill. So I'm going to just minimize this one and try to rotate it to fill that space. Alright, so it's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is ungroup it and use the individual leaves. Smaller sizes to fill up that negative space. Alright, duplicate that one. I'm seeing a piece up here. Alright, I'll duplicate this. Alright, so again, I have like this odd spaces in between. So I'm gonna take one of these smaller motifs, duplicate, so that can't fit. So I'm going to minimize it a little bit, play around with the rotation. Place that there. Also in the corner here, duplicate this one and place it. Right? So that's my random scattered um, placement. So you see, I took up a lot of the negative space, um, and I didn't ruin my rhythm. So I can move a little bit. Also, you want to avoid overlapping unless that's your design, that you have elements overlapping. That would depend on the type of paint that you're using, fabric paints that you're using, or what techniques. so you could completely cover overlap and cover what's underneath your existing print, right? But for now, try to maintain spaces in between your motifs, right?